Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 84, and today we're going to be doing battle with Fizz Riven OTK. And so, this is an interesting deck on multiple fronts. We'll go across all of them, but this is the deck that kind of came to the forefront a couple of months ago, back when the Sun Disk first caught its buffs, and it was running rampant throughout the format. It's sitting at like a 20% share of the meta, and it had a new kind of play pattern that took some adjusting to beating. And so you had to be in this spot to where you could win the game on like turn 7 or turn 8, and you couldn't just do it with stats, right? You couldn't just load up the board with a bunch of stats. Your opponent would just say, cool, I'll block, I don't care. Here's the Sun Disk flip, I'll win the game. And so you had to either figure out ways to attack around or attack through with both elusive and overwhelm as kind of your anti-Sun Disk strategy. And so that's when we started to see the kind of rise of these Papercraft Dragon decks, most of them kind of based on Fizz, but then later on based on the rest of the Fairies package. And then we also saw the various ambush-style decks, mainly centered on Victor. But, you know, once time kind of passed, Fizz Riven really kind of fell off the map. And that's very, very strange to me these days. And we'll come back to kind of the deck how-to in just a moment. But, you know, I've been like really bitching across the past few videos about how weird and how wild it is, how wide open the meta is in Runeterra. And I've mentioned a few times that Dr. LOR will put some stats together on how things should kind of converge. And I think Fizz Riven is right up in there as to where something that should be at the top of the meta, but is just absolutely and completely unplayed. And so, to make you look at some spreadsheets and stuff real quick, if you go to Balco's matchup table, the sorts as to where the most commonly played decks are ranked from top to bottom. And so in the A column, Annie Jin is the most common deck in his stats. Lysandra Talia is the second most common deck. This is the past week of Platinum Plus players. Then the same thing goes across in the versus opponent column. So Annie Jen is the most common, Lysandra Talia. And so if you scroll your way all the way down here to row 23, the 22nd most common deck is Fizz Riven. And then if you take a peek at its matchups, it has a positive matchup against the first 7 or 8 or so decks. Has a poor matchup a little bit further on. I know it's hard to see, but it's bad against the Alawi decks, bad against Yuumi Pantheon. And then if you go through the matchups again, you get to basically the end with only one more bad matchup in it, and that's against Scouts. And so this is a deck that you would, really expect to be pushed up towards the top of the meta. This isn't just like, hey, I'm in wood tier playing with like my week-old collection. This is people that are, serviceable at the game up to the strongest in the game. And so it's very weird and very strange to see a deck that has so many positive matchups across the board sitting down at such a low play rate, and especially so when it's good against like the top 5 or 6 or so decks. If you come up here and look at Lysandra Talia, she's weak against the most common deck in the format, weak against the second most common deck in the format, ignoring hers. And then the matchup table against the rest of the way isn't that great. Things look even worse to me for Annie, as to where she's good against the top 2 decks, but then just garbage against the 7 next most common ones. And so it's like really odd to me that the kind of play rates of these decks work out like this. And then if you say something like, well, Bust, I think Balco's stats are dumb. I think he doesn't know what he's doing. He's a real dumb, doesn't know anything about math. And so you can go to the runeterra.ar, and it's the same thing, right? If we take a look through the most commonly played matchups, this was the last 2 days, but includes everyone. The Riven Fizz deck is down here. It's got a 1.7% play rate, probably like 10th or 15th most common deck in the list. But if you go and resort by win rate, it's sitting up here at number 5. And you can even kind of fix the numbers a little bit. This Bard Galio deck and Trundlemere have a very small number of matches. Elise Viego and Elise Viego Katarina are the same deck. And so it really, amongst the most commonly played decks, is kind of like number 2 in terms of win rate. And so seeing stuff like this is just insane to me in Runeterra. Like, I don't understand what is so different about this that doesn't apply to like Magic, or it doesn't apply to Hearthstone or any of the other games, to where a deck that is like literally second in win rate just doesn't shoot straight up to the top of the meta, unless it would be something like it just has a horrible Sundisk matchup when the Sundisk was like 20% of the meta. Like, that would make sense to me. Doesn't make sense to me why Fizz Riven is so low in the meta right now. And so, if you want to get ahead of things, this is a fantastic deck to go and to take to battle, and it's fairly straightforward in what you're trying to do. Right, the idea here is you want to put a Papercraft Dragon onto something. You want to give that something Overwhelm, and then you attack. Easy peasy, right? And so the more powerful ways you can be doing things are putting the Papercraft Dragon onto Fizz. Then you can give Fizz the Riven Sword. That is the kind of like ultimate OTK. You don't pull it off too often, but that's where things kind of fall. What I feel like you see more commonly in these kind of lineups is you'll just put the Papercraft Dragon onto Riven. You'll throw off all 3 pieces of the Riven Sword. You'll say, I'm not going to play the big one. And then you'll just drop like a Yordle Squire Tiny Spear, or you'll drop a Might or something, or Elixir of Wrath to give her that giant attack, and you just punch on in. And so pretty powerful, pretty straightforward. That's what you're going to be looking to do. The key thing is to just not get your unit domed, right? You don't want to get a big, heavy investment in your unit and then just have it get hit with the Vengeance or hit with a Frostbite or something. And so that's where the real key to this deck kind of comes. It's not just assembling this giant unit, but protecting it in the best way that you can. And so let's go ahead and jump into the games. I don't feel like this is a deck that really you need to sit around and talk about play patterns too much with. You put a Papercraft Dragon on a unit, you attack with it, and you give it Overwhelm. That's it. That's what you're doing every game. If you really want to kind of like, figure it out, I take this deck to commonly want to play in the same vein that we talk about Pirates. When it comes to Pirates, if you don't know what to do, just go for the route that takes the most damage, and more often than not, that's the correct play. But if you're really like stressing out and really hurting about what do I do here? How do I pick out this play pattern? I have like 6 different units I could play on this turn, and I only get to play 3 of them. Just pick the ones that deal the most damage, and you can do a very similar thing here. If you run into a turn, you don't know what to do, you're afraid what unit to put what on and how to sequence things, just figure out the path that does the most damage and just go with it. You'll more often than not find yourself with success. It'll sting a little bit harder with these style of decks since you're so super invested on one of these units if you pick it wrong. But again, more often than not, that is just the way to go for it. And so I will say, in terms of this deck, in terms of mulligan strategy, I like to at least mulligan hard for the dragon. And then after the dragon, I like to look for the Riven cards. You can still make a lot of stuff happen if you have the Papercraft Dragon or if you have the Riven cards. I don't like to mulligan so much in terms of just finding a good curve. And so if you have a start of, say, like Fizz plus Yordle Squire plus Conchologist, there's a lot of decks that would be really excited about having 2 1-drops and a 2-drop and having this really big set of early game plays. But that's more of kind of like a generalist strategy. That doesn't really help us push towards this goal of loading up the Papercraft Dragon and then giving that unit Overwhelm. I think the Dragon is the key piece to be focusing on here, and not so much just having a good curve or getting early chip damage in. But with that being that, we're going to find ourselves making our way to battle. I'm not going to pay any of the pay-to-win price today. You all know I bought a bunch of skins in the last video. I feel like we're pretty good for the week, and so I don't have to pay it. The price does not need to be paid. I've already paid it. I done did it. The price has been paid good. All right. Kicking it off up against Zoe Bard. And so, again, I like to keep things like the Blade Squire. It's a nice way to push towards the Riven Sword. But otherwise, I'm going to search for a Papercraft Dragon, and I'm going to search for Riven cards. We don't really want to just start with Fizz. I could see an argument with starting with Fizz against Zoe, but I just want to push a little bit harder towards the OTK. Didn't find any pieces, but that's fine.
To serve the greater good.
His opponent already scared. They're running away. They say, I can't handle a bust. It's too much. Your OTKs are just too good for me, my dude. Alright. The bell has been rung. So let's see what he's got for us. We can't take down a Zoe with Pokey Stick if he hits with the Chime, but otherwise there's not too many scary things coming out of a deck like this.
I'm cold, I'm hungry, and there's rocks in me boots.
Ready for battle, dude. If you want to trade with the Blade Squire, nope. I don't blame you. I don't blame you, dude. What can we get going on with Riven? I want to play Riven this turn, but I don't want to attack with her. But if we attack with her, we're not going to get the Reforge. So I think we have to just go ahead and start. We can drop a quick attack on her if we need to. Right? Just depends on what opponent does here. I don't want to get any damage stacked onto her. And then she should realistically be pretty tough for a Bard plus Targon deck to deal with. Like, they're not going to have any removal spells. They could have some stuns. Like, stuns would be fairly awkward here. I don't want to go, like, super OTK heavy and run it into a stun, but they're not going to have things to worry about, like single combat or concerted strike, vengeance, whatever. That kind of thing's not going to be here. They just have a couple of 5-cost stuns. You're going to come at us with Zoe. Oh, that's an interesting way to attack.
Carry your own gear.
Okay. Huh. Again, not too worried about what they have going on here. We can get the Riven going. Oh, we picked up a friendship. But I don't quite expect to win the game this turn. It's very easy for them to have a stun of some sort. You can't treble bubble. Can you treble bubble? I can't remember. But we should get a pretty healthy chunk of damage in this round. All right, Overwhelm. +2 attack. She already had the quick attack fragment. We can play the Riven Sword. And then we do have a bit of backup here, right? There's a couple of options that we can actually do. We don't have to play the Riven Sword on her this turn because she already has all the stats. And then we can play Elixir of Wrath to give her +6. That gives us an opportunity to see if our opponent's going to be like, hey, I'm going to play a stun, in which we can try and friendship out of it. Or if they just try and say, like, block with Mountain Goat and not do anything, we could potentially just slam a bunch of damage onto her. But this gives us some good options here. He can just take it as well, which makes me feel pretty safe. I don't think he's going to be able to kill us on the way back. And so it's not that bad. Looks like he might have a stun. That does make me kind of want to just wait and go for it next turn, because it's pretty tough to try and double stun through a Riven. All right. I got you, girl. We'll drop some more cards on you.
Sunlight guide you, my brethren, to serve the greater good.
He says, uh-oh. I thought I boomed her, but she's back. Play more cards? What are you doing? What are you doing? Sure. All right, looking pretty good for another round of combats. We could, I mean, he's so far away from lethal, we could have a pretty strong two-pronged attack, if you will. With, if we say take the Conchologist, load it up with the Blade of Exile, and then next turn just come in with everything. Make him have to pick between our 2 targets instead of just 1. I'm okay with that. These cards all kind of suck. I think we could just... I don't think Calling Strike's going to do enough. It is kind of interesting in that if like he tries to make a block with Esmuth, then we can kind of jump in front of things a little bit, but We have another Overwhelming Might. Okay. Go ahead and drop that one. Feels good. Okay. Lots of juicy things for this turn. I'm gonna put the big attacks onto old Riven here. She'll get +6 off of this one. And then I think we want to just like hang on to the stun plus the friendship. I think the wallop plus the friendship is what's going to get us to kill this game. He can technically have 2 stuns here, right? He can have the mana for that kind of thing. But we'll see. We can always like pivot if things get to be a little weird. Alright, coming at you, bro. Needs a second stun. GG. Boomed it. Mark it a W for bust.
I know what I must do.
That's his favorite part of your day, isn't it? You say, oh, bust. Mark it a W. You did it without the dragon. I know. I know. I know, dog. Kind of curious, like, I guess that is the stun that they're going to be playing more commonly. Maybe we shouldn't have tried to load up onto the Conchologist at all. It's like, I don't know. It's like if we're going to have the stun, or the protection and the Bastion, but we can't stop 2 stuns anyways. Kind of awkward. Alright, let's find something. This hand, nothing going on in that hand. I don't like keeping Yordle Squires if we don't have anything else to do. A little better. Runeweaver making an appearance. It's like, it's kind of tough. Let's just drop the Conchologist at this point. We're going to have to do a bit of interacting here. Whirling Death, I don't feel like we need. Right, we already have the Wallop that does the same thing, but I don't like envision too many scenarios where we're actually going to play Pokey Stick. Okay.
A beautiful day for sailing.
Not a bad Pokey Stick turn here. That's it.
Persistence is key.
Ooh. So we can, like, start to work this with Fizz. I'm not happy with the amount of protection that we have for him, though. I'm kind of leaning towards, like, just starting with the Runeweaver. I don't want him to play a Lowy this turn and just get the free block on a Runeweaver. And then next turn, well, I guess if we want a Papercraft Dragon Fizz, we need to get him down this turn. And then come with an open the next turn. But we don't have the protection for him, right? We can start with Fizz and then see what they do. If we need to full bank the 3 mana here, that's okay. So we can get around a Vile Feast or something with a Wallop.
Life is too short for fear.
It's kind of scary. We want to just go ahead and shut this down. I mean, we can take this damage. I think I'm just going to go full OTK mode here. Going for it. Feels good. I like to just go for it, you know. Tentacle Smash onto the Runeweaver. How do we still feel about this? We won't die to an atrocity next turn. Okay. Do we ever just die here? What is this? 7, 8, 9. Plus 9 back to Alawi. I think we're going to be a little bit short on the damage this turn. Yeah, we would have definitely just gotten murdered if we didn't stop that tentacle. Okay. Oh. All right. So if he has a removal spell, we're dead, right? If he has a vengeance, we're gonna die. Otherwise, we have 18. We don't have any more spells that we can get on the board. Let's go for it. Okay, GG. But I think that's a pretty good space to be in. Whenever we've played any of the Shadow Isles based Alawi decks, we only played 2 copies of Vengeance. The Viego decks tend to just play 2 copies of Vengeance. I think that's a pretty safe space to just go for it. But we didn't have any other options otherwise. Alrighty, on to the sea monsters. What do we got? I'm like reasonably okay to just hang on to Fizz against this deck. It does have kind of like the removal package that we're going to have to deal with. And so I feel safe with him. I don't know, maybe we should just be digging harder for the Papercraft Dragons, but I'm definitely happy to hang on to Runeweaver. Okay, lost an Atrocity and a Vengeance out of that. What you got for me? A quick attack? Aight. Incoming Vile Feast. I'm feeling it. It's a tough world for these 1 healther units. All the Shadow Isles running around. I'm interested in the Librarian. If he doesn't have a play here and she gets to just chunk in, that would be kind of cool. There goes 2 Vile Feasts. Guess we're not going to worry about that anymore. Comes the squad. Sure. Not bad. Not bad. Get built up a little bit here. Can full bank the 3 mana. Everything's looking good. Here comes our dear friend Riven. Let's see if we can't find a an attach. There's a Quick Quill. Not exactly the one we're looking for, but let's dig for another one. Papercraft. Do we want the Papercraft? Like, if we go for the Papercraft, we're pretty close to just leafling him. Okay. What do we have in terms of spells, though? This would be a... We'd be hitting it with a Might. Could hit it with a double Might. Okay. I think I do like going ahead and just protecting it, though. He can drain it for 2, so he's going to be at like a maximum of 4 damage he can put onto the Librarian. If that's okay. Now let's bring that heat. Oh, game says 20. Stop. Let's stop there. Got him. if they have the a vengeance there, it's not the end of the world, right? We still have the papercraft dragon that comes back. We get to circle around back to just playing the Fizz plan. And then if they do vengeance there, they don't get to play any more cards for the turn, right? They spend 6 mana on vengeance. They're pretty much done in terms of getting stuff on board. So, feels good. I was thinking earlier, I was going to give you the steps to working with this deck. Step 1, you put a unit on board. Step 2, you put a Papercraft Dragon on it. Step 3, you attack. You know, that's pretty much what we're going for here. And all I could think of from that point forward was the Dick in a Box skit from Saturday Night Live. And I can't decide if that's been canceled or not. It's clearly inappropriate, right? You should not put your penis inside of a gift wrapped box and then try to get someone to open it. The classic pizza box trick, if you will. But I feel like everyone can agree that is just kind of prime comedy. And you know that the guys aren't serious about suggesting you put your penis in a box and serve that up to someone. But I could see it being canceled. But it's like those dudes are so greasy. Like Justin Timberlake and Andy Samberg and the characters they're playing are so greasy that I feel like it's pretty well accepted that this is comedy and not not a playbook. All right, let's give it a shot. This is fairly scary if he attacks with Zed. I don't think these decks play Rush, though, right? They're not going to play Rush on us. I'm going to say this should be okay. Not sure what their package of spells looks like, though. We're bringing this. Again, I'm going to stop short of the sword and then go for the Elixir of Wrath for the +6 damage. I'm not, like, against Zed, the Zed deck, they could realistically have stuns here, right? I think we can just stop at 6. We have the Bastion in hand, or the Friendship in hand, to try and get around parts of it. And then if he wants to get Zed involved and we drop an Elixir of Wrath, then, you know, damages. Damages feel good. I'm all about damages. Okay, nice little chunk. So we can realistically kill at this point without using Papercraft Dragon, right? If we want to, we can play Elixir of Wrath onto Riven. Does that stick? That's only round in. That probably doesn't stick. But we have options that don't involve the double strike kill. Rip. I guess he didn't have the homecoming. GG. Just feels so decent seeing like Bard turn up when you're playing dumb decks like this, and you're just like, oh, you can't interact, can you? You're just playing a bunch of stats. Alright. I'm ready for a piece of that. Alright. The Vigio deck coming at us. So what do we got here? We've got the Papercraft. I'm not the hugest fan of hanging on to Face Sprout once we've already picked it up. I think, like, we could probably hang on to Fizz, though. Maybe we get something going on a little early with him. This is the space where we're kind of happy just to start drawing our utility units if they want to turn up. Give us a Yordle Squire or give us a Conchologist. Something to put on the board, spend our mana before we get the combo going. Okay. Oof. There's a Conchologist. You got a good spell for me, bro? Quicken doesn't have great targets coming out of this. But it is cheap and it gives us a way to protect our Fizz. I think that's the way I'm going to go for it. Not planning on attacking anymore at this point. If he tries to say Vile Feast Fizz or something, then we can play a Pokey Stick, but not looking to accomplish too much on that turn. Okay. Is he going to send it back to us? Well, we can get this going. I'm not, like, super invested in this turn working, but if he plays like a Viego, then we're pretty open to just blasting with Pokey Stick and punching. There's just nothing else he can do at this point. Do we want to go full damage? Do we want to drop the Might? Kind of want to save the Might for next turn, but yeah, I think we need some cycle here. Just in case. Like, he shouldn't have too many interactive ways to deal with Fizz, but we'll pick up a way to do it. Or see if we can't pick one up with the Pokey Stick. Ooh, a Ravenous Flock. I guess we did get pretty lucky in that draw there. Glad we didn't play the Might. Alright, definitely feels better now that we get to untap. Do some protecting on our friend. That's juicy for the squad.
Join the hunters, they said.
Do we ever get killed by an atrocity this game? That's the only thing I would ever worry about. We'd probably have to get in here and do some amount of blocking. What's this take us to? Takes us to 10? Okay, maybe we don't. It has been decided. We do not have to do that. All right, let the fun begin. Going to attack with the Blade Squire here as well, just in case we want to play a Playful Trickster. We can pull back the Blade Squire and then still have some neat things happen if we need to. I'm all about neat things. I don't know how you all feel about life, but neat things are pretty good. He did have the atrocity, huh? All right. No, thank you. Rip. All right. Nice little battle. Feels good to just slam the Fizz in there. Now, granted, we did hit a pretty hot top deck that game. We did get that pretty spicy way to get out of the Ravenous Flock, but we planned it that way. So now that I think upon it more, we probably should have just gone ahead and countered that Vile Feast. You have to worry about things like Disintegrate as well. He didn't have the mana for Disintegrate. He only had the 3 spell mana, so it had to specifically be Vile Feast plus Ravenous Flock, but maybe we should have just stopped the Vile Feast while we could. Alright, Trundle Tryndamere. Gonna hang on to the Papercraft. I think I'm good to hang on to the Squire here. Just get in and try and get some of that early chip damage going. This is, again, that Feel the Rush deck. This was the one that we saw. If you looked at that win rate chart, this was sitting up at number 1 or number 2, but it didn't have too many matches underneath its belt. To see if this is the new hotness rolling through town. These decks are boring, if you ask me. So Bust, do you want to play a deck that has Blighted Ravine in it? Fuck no. That sounds stupid. Why would you even ask me a question like that? I did play some Turbo Thralls the other day. Put a Turbo Thralls video together last week. It was fucking boring. The deck's dumb. you know, you know what's fun? Playing pirates and playing Fizz decks. That's what makes me excited these days. Better rope this one out though. Gotta sit and think hard on these lines for the next 30 to 45 seconds. Got a life coach over here battling his way out of low tier platinum. Maybe he dropped his phone in the toilet though. That's always an option. Always a thing. Little phone to the toilet. You say, oh shit. I got paired up against the one, the only, the FTP bust. I'm scared. We'll play the Librarian though. Even if he hasn't disconnected. I like the option here to just go ahead and draw the spell. Very good chance that they don't have any interactivity for an attack like this, and so we should just get to draw a card. Drawing cards is pretty fun. I don't know how you feel about it. There he is. He's back. All right. He was just thinking real hard. His next 7 turns have been mapped out. He loaded up his chess calculator, cut out all the options that can't happen anymore. Ready for it. Clearly someone that plays chess by themselves on Friday nights. Clearly. Hey, Dark Empath. We're going to the movies. You want to go with us? Nah. I'm gonna play some chess by myself tonight. Chess, I like chess, man. You want to play with us? No. I told you I'm playing by myself. I don't even have one of those swivel boards. I gotta get up and walk to the other side of the table. That's the way it happens. All right, there we go. The Kahili Tavern Keeper. We made a decision. Plays happened. Good job, dude. I know I'm proud of you. Maybe think on this a little bit longer. Got this 1 mana. Doing some real mathematics, calculating everything that could happen across the rest of the game.
No more hesitation.
Very important. Very important match right here. We're right now in Platinum 3. Although we're playing as though it's the finals of the Pro Tour. That does get me though. I don't understand how in the gauntlets how the chess clock works. Well, it's not a chess clock. I really like the chess clock mode on Magic Online. And so even if people were just sitting around like dardling around and doing dumb shit like this, then they had the opportunity to get punished for it. And it's just not the case here. There's no negatives happening just because this guy's coming out here and roping. All right, we're getting built up to a decent next turn though. I think all I'm looking at here. Let's do this. Let's give the Librarian a bonus. I'd like to play around the AoEs a little bit. I think we'll just pass. I like getting this full 3 bank so we can roll into the next turn with some healthy dudes and the ability to just drop Papercraft Dragon. We'd probably want to drop the Dragon onto Assistant Librarian this game. Still thinking though. Still thinking. Maybe he did finally disconnect. Oof. Trying to multitask, play chess by himself and play Legends of Runeterra at the same time. It's tough to do. Tough to do. Oh, he's back. Let's see if he's got a bounce spell. I'm not entirely sure what their removal package was. Where is it? That deck should be pretty easy to find. It's just up here, right? What's this guy playing? Blighted Ravines, Three Sisters, Concussive Palms, Will of Ionias. That's a pretty good combo of cards given what we're playing here today. Pretty similar set from the other guy here. Looks like about 8 single target kind of spells. We don't have a friendship to counterspell them. Well. All right. Goddamn, that was fun. I hope you all enjoyed that one. I'm not cutting it out of the video. Just sit around bored as fuck. Whew. I appreciate you for staying. I hope you just skipped through that one. Whew. All right, what do we got here? The thralls coming at us. All right. So again, not really interested in any of this. Want to find our Papercraft Dragons, want to find our Riven cards. Found our Riven cards, that's for certain. I was hoping for a little bit more variety than that, but we got our Riven cards. Ask for it and you shall receive. Okay, not playing Fizz. We got too many early AoEs for him to realistically come out and survive. Interesting. Just predicting early. Must not be too happy with the contents of the hand. Right, we don't have to worry about too much here. We can pretty safely just play Riven and boom. Alright, well that'll stop the booms. I don't think it's worth just trying to slam damage into. Uh-oh, he's bringing it. So how do we go about this? We have the Papercraft Dragon. I would feel a little bit better though if we had like the spells to play next turn. I think we can like drop Fizz. We're not gonna actually plan to use Fizz. I'm gonna put all of our stats onto Riven. Because I think, is that how we want to do it? Let me stop and marinate on that one. We can get the Riven flip, but we can't play any more cards after that. And I kind of want to have Riven to block with. Let's go with the Fizz. We're not going to get a kill this turn, but we should be able to most certainly get one on the follow-up turn. And that the card that worries me out of this deck, you can kind of deal with the Flash Freeze by just slamming a bunch of bonuses onto your units, but we can't really deal with the Three Sisters. Or, right, we can deal with the Three Sisters if this is onto Fizz. All right. So we can sort of attack with Riven. Well, the predict card is the predict card is focused, so we can't just get a Frozen Thrall out on this board. I think this is fine. It's not like we're getting big values out of blocking a Frozen Thrall with a Rune Weaver. Get a nice 4-chunk in. Okay. And then we do have a lot of boosting cards for Fizz on the next turn, the next attack. So if he has an additional Three Sisters, we have these weapon hilts and stuff to punch in extra damage. That had to have been a misclick, right? Interesting. Why didn't he make the 2 Thralls? Does he just have another card? Okay, that makes sense. I was like, It's like these thralls are coming down this turn. There's no way they aren't. But we can reasonably safely take 16. Where's our sword at? Where does our sword go? Blade of Exile. Right onto the Riven. Okay, looks good. We can certainly do stuff this turn now. Blighted Ravine, everybody survives that. We do have, I guess, have to start worrying about the Lysandra card, though, because of the Blighted Ravine. Can we flip our Fizz? Yeah, we can flip Fizz. Overwhelm, what do we got? Don't want the Overwhelm. See if we can't find a +2 attack off of these weapon hilts. There it is. And then we'll still have mana for Might plus Weapon Hilt after this, or if it comes down to it, we can play a Playful Trickster. Alright, here comes the squad. Is this close to enough? +4? We're going to be just a touch short, aren't we? Opponent needs some more emotes for this. Just a little bit short. But his Frozen Thralls have been answered up to this point. Oh, and a Three Sisters. Okay. Good job. Oh. Did we surrender? We're trying to surrender. GG. Alright. On to the next one. The final battle is upon us. What is this? Talia Malphite. Ready for it. Feeling good. The bastion of interactivity. JK, this deck is horrible at it. It might have quicksands. Might have some stuns, but I think for the most part we should be pretty okay here. What up, Chip?
See the world from behind a basilisk.
You didn't battle, Chip. All right, we have to open though. Get that damage in. I don't want to run into Chip too early. Okay, we can start building up an assistant librarian if we want. This is another one of these spots to where like we could build up to Fizz.
I've got the reins.
We have just a couple of good choices. It's another matchup where I feel like we'll just have like a ton of time to get this stuff going. You shouldn't have any AoEs though. Let's go with Fizz. Pass on the librarian for a moment. Stop and think. It's like if we have quick attack, then maybe we should have gone for a librarian, but I don't think we're going to be trying for too much value here.
I write the rules of power.
Alright, Fizz, let's get in the middle. Let's get these combats going. Seems okay. Very unit heavy. Or, not used to having, like, we could realistically still play the librarian this turn. No. Maybe not.
Tide's coming in. Wow, all this walking.
Okay, don't want to. I don't want this dumb landmark stuff happening. We'll just ignore it. Say, I'm not trying to interact or anything here, dog. So we're just gonna let we're just gonna let that slide. We'll move on. Interactivity. Who wants to do that? You just put these cards on the board and see who wins. Rip Chip. Sad day, my dude. You don't deserve things like that to happen to you. Okay, just need to get up to 8 attack for the kill here. We could lead with Might, see if anything else turns up. Doesn't look like it's going to. Just gonna go ahead and bring it. If he has a quicksand, it's not the end of the world. The quicksand doesn't do too much against our. It doesn't do too much against our Papercraft Dragon. And then if he has a stun or something, we're just so close to lethal. Quicksand number 1 in the books. I think we want to get the librarian down. There's like there shouldn't be the only interactivity he should have would be like the blow up a landmark, kill a dude, and we can still fizz through that. Now we can maybe find something scary for the librarians, like a rainbow fish. Okay. What you got in here? Not the biggest of attackers, but the Gleaming Lantern will get the job done. Found anything cool? I'll take a Face Sprout. We're not at like real danger of dying here, but we should prevent some of this, right? Fall to 7. I think that's okay. Still a little bit worrisome, right? We can play through any of the stuns, but if he has a second quicksand, then we're going to lose this game. Like getting the rainbow fishes is just going to be too slow. We need to try and get an open kill next turn. Alright, mini scaries. We're a little short on damage as well, aren't we? Only coming in for 12? Ugh. Ugh. Maybe that is a problem. Not as much with the Playful Trickster turning up. Alright, let's see what happens. So we can find combat tricks with Trinket Trade. That's a way to get kills, or if we Playful Trickster the Fated Librarian, we should get an additional attack this turn. Kind of a safer way to play it this way, given that if he has another ground slam or a double stun or something, we can still Trinket Trade out of that. Well, we gotta go for it now. Aw, sad day. Sad day. None of those were combat trick. That's going to do it. GG's, my dude. Dang. Dang. But nonetheless, pretty powerful deck. I feel like that was a pretty good primer on the deck. The games we won, we did some serious smashing into. The games we lost were they had quite a bit of interactivity there at the end, and that's really what that's really what you're looking to avoid. And so I think that the Ionia based Tryndamere deck is going to be a pain. And then running against the decks that have the quicksands and stuff is slightly problematic. But again, like a lot of the kind of removal suites you run into with these decks, they'll play like 2 quicksands and 2 Three Sisters, and if you have an answer to one of them, you're typically okay, right? It's when these things show up in multiples when it starts to be a problem, like in that game where you had both the Rite of Negation and the Quicksand, and the Trundle matchup, he had the 2 Three Sisters. That guy had literally everything in that matchup. And then in one of the admittedly bad matchups against Alawi, we were right on the edge of winning that game. And so, it's pretty powerful stuff. It's a really good ladder climber. It's a really strong deck. It also has fast games. And so if you're looking to climb up the ladder quickly, that's definitely a factor. Where if you're playing the Viego Deserter deck and taking every game to turn 11 and turn 12, and then you're playing this and taking every game to like turn 7, that really adds up over the course of a few days and lets you get in a lot more games, even if one deck might have even if the slower deck has a higher win rate by like a percentage or two, you completely make up for that by smashing in more games. So pretty fun, pretty interesting. I'm going to ask Dr. LOR what he thinks about the meta convergence and why things happen like this. I'm curious. Like, I don't think Riot would ever say anything about it either. But again, it's just very, very, very strange to me that decks like this have such a high win rate and such a low play rate. And so, maybe someone out there has answers. I'm curious if it's like it shouldn't be a matter of like information, right? There's tons of people doing the stats. There's tons of sites providing the meta reports. And so it's not like a lack of information. I mean, I don't know if it's just something like psychological as to where, say, like, I don't want to play Scouts because Scouts hasn't changed that much since like the past year and a half, or what the deal is. But so strange that the meta stays so wide open. But anyways, that's going to do it for us today. I hope everyone enjoyed the video. You learned how to grill up those fish a little bit better. Maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.